cross-country title. But runner-up Amy Skieras of Arizona, the 96 champion, is in the chase again. Their teams and the 96 winner Stanford are contending for the team title, but Brigham Young hopes to repeat, as Coach Patrick Shane noted.
So on paper, Villanova is the best team in the nation if you look at it that way, and we don't.
The men's favorite is Colorado's Adam Goucher, who was 5th last year. Defending team champion Stanford University should again battle with Arkansas for the men's crown. Today we're outside of Lawrence, Kansas at Rimrock Farm as the University of Kansas hosts the 1998 NCAA men's and women's cross-country championships. Atkinson, let's get to our first race, the Division I Women's Championship.
The energy is intense down here at the edge of Rimrock Farm as the ladies behind me are getting ready to start. The real story is 30 seconds separated the top 10 last year. All 10 of those athletes are returning. In fact, some pundits are calling this the most competitive and deepest field we've ever seen.
31 teams, 255 competitors, and thousands of fans on hand. The Villanova Wildcats, winners of 6 straight championships from 89 to 94, gathering near the start line, including Carrie Tollefson, the 97 winner who had surgery in the off-season. She talks about this course.
It's similar to the last year's course. There's a big hill in the last 1,000 meters. So in that aspect that, it's pretty much the same as South Carolina's was. There's a few different areas. There's we run through a bridge. We run through, other, cross-country type things. But last year we were on a golf course, so of course this is going to be a little bit different.
Carrie was injured having surgery in the off-season on her heel, but she's back now, which really improves the chances of her team.
If it's not ready, I don't know that because tomorrow I have to put it all out on the line, and I'm not going to say the night before NCAAs that I'm not ready to go out there and run my hardest. So I've done all the training I can do, and hopefully I'll go out there and run a great race and bring home at least a team championship.
University of Arizona's Amy Skieras is twice a runner-up and once a champion of this event, getting ready with her Wildcat teammates.
Yeah, Arizona ranked number 3 coming in on the strength of Amy and freshman sensation Tara Chaplin.
Last year's runners-up, the Stanford University Cardinal.
They're led by Julia Stamps, and they've been shuffling their lineup all season long, so we haven't seen the full strength of the Stanford team yet.
I've definitely increased the volume this year than I had before in the past. And I definitely am starting to taper now, and I'm starting to feel a lot fresher. So, it has been a little bit different training than last year. But I definitely think that we're all fit, and the coaches have done a good job as far as getting us fit for this weekend.
Julia Stamps, the former national high school champion, a Northern California native. Her Cardinal, though, finished second to Brigham Young in 97.
BYU's been ranked number 1 all season long, John. They're undefeated since that 97 championship. But Villanova's stock has been rising constantly because 2 of their better runners are back in the lineup after injuries, Carmen Duma and Carrie Tollefson. In third, Arizona ranked 3rd. Why? Because they defeated Stanford at the Western Regional with that powerful freshman and their leader, Amy Skieras. It is the battle of the big cats, the Arizona Wildcats, the Villanova Wildcats, and the cats on top are the Brigham Young Cougars.
You saw the Wisconsin Badgers, the Arkansas Razorbacks, led by Amy Yoder. Of course, Arkansas with the powerful men's team. We'll see later on. Michigan and Katie Mcgregor and the Wolverines getting ready, too, on this very comfortable day in Lawrence, Kansas. Temperatures in the 50s and a huge gathering on hand, estimated in the thousands, possibly as many as 6,000 here for these championships. And we're at the start line and underway in the Women's Division I Cross-Country Championships.
Yeah, the athletes will be charging down this big open field. They've got about 400 meters to go before a strong left-hand turn. And you can see there's plenty of room for the newly expanded field. 31 teams, 255 athletes out there. It is going to be a real foot race to that first turn.
What a great view from both above and then down on the ground level here of just how many runners there are and how much space there is as they try to gather here to get some position at the front.
And John, this is going to be very difficult for the athletes simply because there are so many in the race. There is no choice in this particular event, at only being 5,000 meters, that they have to go out fast. They have to go out fast, establish position in this giant pack, or risk being so hopelessly buried that they can never make that ground up again.
And did you see all those athletes sprint from the spectators over for another position? Gladys Kaitani of TCU is at the front, but of course there are just a whole bunch of runners. Maggie Chen is of BYU running on the inside, and Gladys Kaitani on the outside. And in between them, Mina Rasimus of South Florida. And we're just underway, just a minute or so into this cross-country championship.
And right now, the athlete from TCU, Gladys Kaitani, setting the pace here. Maggie Chen, though, we've seen her all season long leading and winning many races. She's out front, taking the measure of the field so far. Looks like they're running comfortably at this point. But you have to remember that since there are 252 athletes behind them of varying and awesome capabilities, these people must be working very hard at the front.
Bob Timmons bought this 100-acre farm over a quarter of a century ago and made a cross-country course out of it. Jeff will chat with the former Kansas coach as we continue with the NCAA cross-country championship. Teardrop Pond. Jeff Atkinson chatting with the man who runs this operation, former Kansas coach Bob Timmons.
This is a 96-acre farm, and we just kind of circle around up in the upper brome fields and then go down through the timber and the covered bridge and down through the lakes into the lower brome, and then back up high again to the finish.
Point out some of the hills, the covered bridge, and so on the map.
Okay, as it starts here, it comes out over the way here like so. There's a hill in here on the Call Valley Overlook, and then it kind of swings around Cottonwood Pond and goes down through this covered bridge. We call it Oak Holler Bridge. And then it comes back up through the Timber Trail around Suicide Turn, which is a very difficult, tight turn, and then goes through Copperhead. And then it goes down Teardrop, down sweep into the lower Bromefield area, and Pecan Bottoms, and around through these ponds in this area. Comes up over Billy Mills Ascent, which is the last hill, and it's a very difficult hill, and then Skyline Bend into the finish.
Tell us a little bit about the idea behind the silhouettes and how it came about.
Well, in the beginning, I saw some silhouettes around Council Grove. They were of pioneers and Indians way off in the distance on the skyline, and I came back and I thought, whoa, that was really spectacular. And so we put the first one up on the hill there, Johnny Lawson, and he was a national cross-country champion. And then we got to thinking about Wes Santee, who won a championship, and Al Frame, who won one, and Herb Semper, who won two. And so we thought, well, we'll put those up, and then you can't leave out Jim Ryan or Billy Mills. As a matter of fact, the Billy Mills silhouette is showing Billy finishing the 10,000 meters in the Olympic Games, and Glenn Cunningham. So there's 7 of those silhouettes. It's taken a long time, and lots of people have been involved in it.
And there's even a cemetery along this course, the Chester Cemetery, and that's where our runners are approaching now early in this cross-country championships.
Right now it's still Gladys Kaitani from TCU leading the race, John. She's got about 10 meters on Maggie Chen. Maggie Chen running right on the edge of that line, though, running the smarter race here, taking the tangents around this very turn-filled course.
Maggie Chen finished 13th in the championships in 1997 at Furman University in South Carolina. And now she moves past Kaitani, who seems to be struggling a bit.
Yeah, Chan, this is excellent for the BYU Cougars simply because a first-place finish means only 1 point towards the team score. So BYU looking good right now. You can see Skier is in the distance in the red on the right side of the screen, slowly working her way back up to Chan, who leads up this little rise right here.
Chan, Kaitani, and the rest of the field
And now, John, looks like Katani has the inside line on this right-hand turn as the rest of the field tries to make their way up towards the leaders. We asked Maggie Chen if she thought the course was challenging for her.
Course would be challenging to me too, because I have like incurable injuries on my ankle, and it's hard for me to go downhill, and this course is a lot of downhills.
Yeah.
So I worry about it, but I think I just have to deal with it.
Maggie Chen from Kwaichung, Hong Kong. She's a senior running for Brigham Young University, and we get to the 1 mile split.
5:07, John, at the mile for Chan. She has about 15, 20 yards on the pack, so very quick over that hilly first part of the course. Look at the lead she now has at the mile mark. Chan with a big lead, and the chase pack composed of Amy Skieras, Julia Stamps, it looks like Katie Mcgregor back there from Michigan, still about 20 yards down on Chan and trying to close the gap.
Gladys Kaitani has slipped all the way to 7th. Yoder and Dieter as well in the top 7 runners.
And John, within that top 7, 6 of them were in last year's top 10. Remember, we said at the top of the show that last year's top 10 are all returning, and they've already established themselves at the front of the pack.
And if you take a look at time differential through the first mile, Villanova followed by BYU 5 seconds, Stanford right there, Arkansas 18 seconds, Arizona, if you take a look at a team standing after just 1 mile.
Yeah, between the first and 5th runners of Villanova, only 8 seconds shows the depth of their team. And now Maggie Chen starting to come back to the pack a little bit here. Stanford had 14 seconds between 1st and 5th. BYU 13 seconds between 1st and 5th. So those 3 teams, as we expected, are right up near the front with their individual, and their teams are not far behind.
We are north of Lawrence, Kansas, NCAA cross-country champion of Kansas. Stanford women's coach Beth Alford Sullivan commented yesterday on the tight team race we all expect.
I think the women's race is going to be the most exciting, the most excitable, I think, and the most volatile. Anything can happen. I think the team that's going to hit it is the team that's on tomorrow. And I think you bring 7 kids in, and you got to have 5, hopefully 7 great races out of them. And the timing is, you know, as I explained to my team, you start off in June, you start preparing, and you go all the way through. And November 23rd for 17 minutes, you got to have a group of kids come together, and that's a lot of chance, a lot of risk, and a lot of anticipation to get that to happen.
Arizona's Amy Skira is challenging for the lead, as she has for 4 years now, as her coach Dave Murray well knows.
Amy is always ready. I mean, she goes into every race with a very positive attitude, feeling that, you know, that if she runs her race, that, you know, there's not many people that can beat her. By the same token, also, she goes into a race feeling that anybody in the race can beat her. So she's never goes into any race where she feels like she is going to win, but she also feels that somebody's going to have to run spectacular like Carrie did last year to beat her.
Amy Skira is winner in 96, second in 95 and 97. This is her last chance for another championship, and here she is right on the heels of BYU's Maggie Chen as they go across Oak Holler Bridge.
And right up John Lawson Hill. John Lawson Hill named for one of the silhouettes that are out here on the course. John Lawson was Kansas' last NCAA cross-country champion in 1965. Skier is charging up this hill now. Very steep, this hill. You can't really tell from the video, but this is a very steep hill. And Chan is following Skieras, and now we see the emergence of Katie Mcgregor charging up on the outside. Mcgregor actually taking the lead here from Skieras.
Katie McGregor's had quite a season, already won 7 events in this 1998 cross-country season, and she has overtaken the veteran Skieras, and they are running 1-2 as we get about, a little more than 1.5 miles.
And look what's happened, John. Skieras and McGregor just breaking open the pack right there. You saw Maggie Chen drifting to the back, and Amy Yoder now moving up a little bit, but quite a gap up to the leaders, McGregor and Skieras. At halfway, you have McGregor leading, Skieras second, Chan, Yoder, and Julia Stamps also trying to bridge the gap up to the leaders.
Well, you get through the bridge, then you go to the John Lawson Hill, then you have to go to Suicide Turn.
And right there on Suicide Turn, we saw skiers pulling away from McGregor. Here comes Yoder, Stamps, and Chan, followed by Joanna Dieter of Notre Dame.
And Suicide Turn is named because you get to the turn and you better have your footing because you take a quick dip down.
And a hard left-hand turn, John. It goes down to the lake section of the course. Here we can see the entire field passing by. From here we can get some idea of the team scoring.
Villanova, BYU, Stanford, Arizona, and Arkansas all in the hunt here. As you
There's a
see
better
most
shot.
of the field go by and down and around Suicide Turn, and
one runner
example
going down
right there.
on the inside edge. But here's skiers out front negotiating these tight turns and these steep little downhills that go down to the lake section of the course. Skiers now breaking it wide open in her bid to win a second NCAA crown.
And while you get some momentum going downhill, you really have to be focused and very you have to concentrate considerably because it gives you a boost, but it also, as we've seen, it can put you in your front side face down in a hurry.
Tough to keep your footing through this section, but Skiers seems to have done so easily and is now pulling away from Katie McGregor. Skiers with about a 40-50 meter lead at this point in the race. Skiers looking very strong.
Amy Skieras won the Bob Timmons Invitational back in October along this course on a pre-NCAA tournament event. The California native running for Arizona, and again a former champion.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on this former champion, John. She was second place as a freshman, won it all as a sophomore. Last year some people were disappointed with her second place finish as a junior, which is a fabulous run, and here she is showing her gumption. She's out front leading it in her senior year, trying to win her second NCAA cross-country crown.
Katie McGregor trying diligently to stay with Amy Skieras. McGregor, and we talked with her about the strategy she has for the final mile.
Hopefully, I'm in a good position. I can see the front runners, or I'm right there with them, and hopefully I just, maintain, get up that hill, and the whole finish is just downhill, so just use my speed to get down to the finish.
McGregor, the Big Ten champion, a native of Ohio, running for the University of Michigan. Jeff, we're about 2.25 miles into this event right now.
And John, at the 2-mile mark, the leader, Amy Skieras, was 10:43. In the team race, Villanova's first and fifth runner are separated by only 13 seconds at that juncture. BYU separated by only 18 seconds. Stanford, Arizona, and Arkansas round out the top 5. Amy Yoder, now Arkansas's #1 athlete.
It's one of the tougher courses that we've ever run, but I felt really good the last time I was here. I like the hills. I've always been a really good hill runner, so I'm not that scared of this course.
Katie McGregor of the University of Michigan following Amy Skieras. Yoder has moved into third as we near about a half a mile to go in this NCAA championship, and we'll have the finish for you next. In Lawrence, and we're about 8 miles north of there at Rimrock Farm, NCAA cross-country championships. Skieras and McGregor, and Marcus O'Sullivan, the new Villanova coach, talks about his team.
The highlight of for me anyway, this year so far, in terms of coaching, is just seeing them all here together. We've had a tremendous time trying to get the whole lot of them in one race. We've always been missing one person or the other, and last week at the regionals was the first time that we had them all running there.
And here we go to the finish. It's Skieras looking over her shoulder at McGregor.
Katie McGregor has closed the gap on Skieras. Skieras at one point had about a 50-meter lead, and now McGregor is just slowly working her way back up. You have to think, John, that the momentum is in Katie McGregor's favor, coming from behind here on a tiring Skieras, and sure enough, she goes right by her.
With about a quarter of a mile left in the race, Katie McGregor overtakes the veteran Amy Skieras and working her way to the finish line of the NCAA cross-country championships.
You got to be there all the time, and I'm always right there, right behind someone, or right where I need to be. And like I said, this is my senior year, so I always feel that I get out there and get stuff done, but you got to throw a little more guts in this time.
And Jeff, certainly she has shown that with this surge at the end to overtake Skirres.
Mcgregor showing the intestinal fortitude she just talked about as she comes around the final turn. She's got about 20 meters on Skirres, and there's nothing but downhill 200 meters of hard grass all the way in from here, John.
Katie Mcgregor, a senior at Michigan. Amy Skirres, a senior at Arizona, running 1-2. And the big crowd here at Rimrock Farm appreciating the finish of this championship event.
Katie Mcgregor, having an outstanding season thus far, is finally showing that she belongs at the top of the national podium. There was so much talk about Skirres before the day, but in the end, Katie Mcgregor of Michigan will be your NCAA 1998 cross-country champion.
And Amy Skirres ending an outstanding career in which she finished second 3 times and was once a champion of the event. Amy Yoder of Arkansas comes in 3rd place.
And look at this, John, racing up right together. This is Kristen Gordon of Georgetown, just out-leaning Sally Glynn of Stanford. Julia Stamps of Stanford right in after Glynn. That's 2 in for Stanford, 2 in for Arkansas. The team battle very tight now.
In fact, of the top 21 finishers, we know that Stanford has 2 in the top 10. We know Villanova has finished with 4 runners from 11 through 21. And BYU with 2 runners in the top 13 as we catch up with the top 21 finishers here. You see Stamps and Chan.
The team battle is going to be very, very close here, John. Marie Davis in for Oregon. Arkansas has several athletes in. Carrie Tollefson, that's your last year's champion, right with her teammate. Villanova looking very good at this
Sarah
point.
Goodman. In fact, Tollefson just being able to run was an outstanding feat because of the surgery on her heel in the offseason.
399, Carmen Duma is Villanova's 4th woman across the line. Villanova looks tough to beat.
Villanova with Tollefson, Goodman, Nicolini, and Duma finishing in and among the top 21 finishers in this championship event. Boy, what a great shot. Look at all those people lined up along the finishing stretch.
And they've already opened up chute 3. There's so many athletes finishing. Remember, 255 in the field. We're going to have to take some time here to figure out just who has won. It looks like Villanova with 4 in, but both Stanford and BYU now have all 5 of their athletes in.
Let's analyze now the crucial finishers here. Courtney Meldrum of BYU, 38th in the scoring. Brigham Young, 110 points. Now Stanford's Mary Huang, 6 spots back in the scoring, 111 points for the Stanford Cardinal. BYU's 6th finisher, Kara Ormond, is just finishing ahead of Tracy Robertson of Arkansas. Now Villanova's 5th isn't in yet. Villanova needs to get within 55 points of the scoring, and there's Christine Jost, who comes in with 52 points, and that's just enough to win the championship for Villanova. 106 points, 4 better than BYU, 5 better than Stanford University. And back in the winner's circle, the Villanova Wildcats unseating BYU in the championship. And here's Jeff with Katie Mcgregor.
It's pretty close in the beginning. It was just a matter of who was going to feel strong coming up the hill at the end, and I think that's just the way it worked.
Now, there was a portion in the race when you actually took the lead, and then Amy threw in a big surge, and suddenly you were 50 meters back. What was going through your mind?
I kind of was okay with that. I wanted to get up the hill. I don't really like to waste time getting up the hills, but at the same time, I really didn't want to be in the lead at that point, so I was glad to have people come up behind me.
Then once you passed Amy with about, 400 meters to go, did you think you had it at that point?
I don't know. I wasn't really sure. I've never really raced against her toward the end. I didn't know how much leg speed she had, and I didn't have as much leg speed as I thought I was going to. I'm usually pretty confident toward the end of the race, but I was pretty tight, and I think it was just the same thing for her. I just had a little more motivation because I was coming up from behind, so I think that was to an advantage.
Katie Mcgregor's family on hand in Lawrence to see her individual championship as Wes Santee hands the team trophy to Marcus O'Sullivan, Villanova's record-setting 7th NCAA championship. And the first for O'Sullivan, who chats with our Jeff Atkinson.
I think they began the season with a lack of confidence, and I think now they're leaving the season, and I think they're really essentially transformed into, I think, different athletes, and I think that's important. And so for them, I'm very, very happy.
Tell us what it's like. What's the difference between having won so many honors yourself and now being a coach and doing the same thing?
You know, being on the other side of the fence, for the first time I have a totally newfound respect for coaches. I think, Jeff, and you might be able to concur with me on this, that we sort of take them for granted. They're always there. They're at your beck and call. They're there when you're down. They're there when you're up. And I think we were remiss in many ways in not really thanking them thoroughly. And if this is a public opportunity I have, I want to thank all the coaches that I've always had from the time I was maybe 12 years old. And thank you so much.
Yeah. Congratulations to the Villanova Wildcats and to the top 15 finishers in today's championship race.